When are you truly the happiest? What was the one time in your life that you will never forget because you felt true happiness? I got a bunch that come into my mind. I hope you do too. But let's talk about how to have a happy and fulfilled life, because this is something that we all want, regardless of where we live, what we have in our lives, who's around us. It's important. And let's find out what all the happiest countries in the world have in common. First, what is happiness? Well, happiness is that state of well-being that you have that fills you with joy, that lets you know, hey, I'm on the right track, things are going well, these things that I'm doing are fulfilling me. There is a real sense of joy that comes when you're in a state of happiness. And understanding what brings that into your life is important. Also understanding what makes you unable to tap into that is important. And I think one of the most important things to look at is this idea of comparison. If we look at the happiest nations in the country, they have discovered that they are in fact Buddhist nations, because Buddha practiced very specifically not comparing yourself to others. It is a concept that is embedded into the whole process of becoming, well, it's not a religion, but with Buddhism, it's this idea of awakening yourself and getting yourself to a place where you are in the flow and feeling happy and feeling at ease. Comparison is one of the most deadly things that we get involved in. We cannot win when we compare. If you are sitting there in a group of people looking at them all and thinking, I'm not as good as them, they're so much better than me, everyone's so much more well off, everyone has nicer cars, everyone is more intelligent, all of these things that you begin to think diminish who you are. They make you feel outside of the group, they make you feel not included, they fill you with frustration, anxiety, anger, envy. These are not the roles to happiness, that comparison. If you're at the very top, imagine you are the richest, most developed, smart, incredibly beautiful person in the world, and now you look at all the people below you. It is so easy to puff up and think, why can't they be as good as me? I'm so amazing. That is not happiness. So don't get involved in comparison. Comparison only helps us when we look at someone and we think to ourselves with admiration, I would love to be like that. That changes the motivation from one of I am not enough or I am better than to look at that. I admire that. It's inspiring. So change these comparisons to things of admiration and it will inspire you instead of diminish you. Don't be involved like most countries are. We're in a culture of comparison. Everything we see is about keeping up with the Joneses. Do you have the latest clothes? Do you have the latest technology? Marketing drives that instinct in us to be like, I want to be able to drive the latest and the greatest car. Maybe you can't afford it. Comparison makes you buy that car to keep up with the Joneses and then have to make a monthly payment that is painful and keeps you out of happiness. So forget the world's perspective of what happiness is. It is a false advertisement. It is not something that will bring you peace when they say that if you buy this thing or you have that in your life or you do these things, this is what will bring you happiness. If I just make this much money, I'll be happy. If I can just get this car, I'll be happy. If I could just go on this vacation, or if I could just have my leg healed. All these things we think will bring us happiness and have nothing to do with it. Really, breaking the world's perspective of comparison can be done by practicing gratitude. Gratitude builds the essence of happiness within us. When we can look at our lives and we can say, you know what? Yeah, I'm going through a hard time right now. There's a lot of things hitting me, but I am so grateful for all of the support that I have received. I have a friend who is in the midst of a brand new divorce, and she talks about how many people have stepped up to help her and how she has not wanted to reach out for help, but she's having a difficult time. And yet, as she practices opening herself to be vulnerable and receives help, which can be hard, the gratitude and expression of knowing that these people are there changes the situation to one where you're being uplifted. I experienced that myself early on in my divorce. I couldn't believe how many people reached out to me and supported me and were kind to me as I was in a space where I felt like I was not maybe worth helping because things that happened made me feel like I was less than I should be because I was comparing. But as I began to be grateful for the help I received, I dropped my comparison. I began to be excited about the friendships that I had that would support me, changed my perspective. And that gets me away from the world of comparison. I think when we shed the baggage of the things that are weighing us down by practicing comparison or by practicing gratitude, we change our whole existence. We're able to then move and accomplish things that others might think are impossible for us. One great example of this that I admire is Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking was diagnosed, I believe, in 1963 with Lou Gehrig's disease. Really bad disease that impacts all of your mobility. It doesn't affect the clarity of your mind, but your capacity to even breathe, move, speak, all is inhibited by Lou Gehrig's disease. And Stephen Hawking beat almost most of people, over 95% of people die with Lou Gehrig's disease well before Stephen Hawking did. He lived 55 years with the disease, but he was willing to take extreme measures to keep living because he was so productive. And he was not caught in comparison of him that he was and him that he was now as he became sick. The person that he had been and the person that he was with the disease changed dramatically in his physical capabilities. But it didn't slow him down. He produced new works that changed the world's understanding of the universe and space while he was confined to a wheelchair with a tracheotomy that completely reduced his capacity to speak so that he had to blow through a straw, to move, to speak, to do all these things. He became an icon in the world of not just science, but he was known in popular culture for who he was, because he was such a big character that would not allow a disease to define him and reduce his happiness and make him fall into a space of despair, lacking in gratitude. Now, I guarantee in his darkest moments, I can't guarantee, but I believe in his darkest moments, he fell into comparison and struggled. But a man that was able to produce and do all that he could do, drastic change in his health from where it was to the end, that, I believe, is what keeps somebody alive. That happiness that he felt in producing new ideas, taking to the world concepts in science that changed our whole ideas of space and time, moving beyond concepts of Einstein. This is incredible from a man that we would have expected under normal circumstances to fold up and die because his body was so diminished. And the comparison can be overwhelming. He let go of it, he practiced gratitude, and he did amazing things. So I don't know what your life is. I don't know the troubles that you're facing. I don't know, how you need to move through it. But I do know that letting go of our need to compare our situation with others and practicing deep gratitude, accepting who we are, and knowing our belief systems, that changes everything. You get to act and find places that bring you joy, regardless of where you are in life, what it has brought you, your circumstance. It changes everything. So I hope this helps you find happiness if you're not finding it in the way you want. And stick around. I got more videos coming up. Thanks for joining me. I'm James Burnham.